Hello everyone. I'm doing a quick video today to show my process for making homemade apple cider vinegar. These apples came directly off of trees that we planted on our property about 7 years ago. There's a mix of different varieties and they're not treated in any way with pesticides, so I use them mainly for my own applesauce, apple crisp that I can up. And then I also use all of the peels and stuff for apple cider vinegar. So I wanted to kind of show you, let me pan out a little bit so you can kind of see. This is a couple of the gallon size mason jars that I use for this purpose. I had a little left over, so there's a small one right there. But this is what it looks like. I'm just going to take the top off right here. And I wanted to show you, let me put this down. You can see I've done 2 batches so far. So what I do is I take a filter, a coffee filter, and I write down the dates. I already did one batch on 9/21, and then the next batch was October 22nd, as you can see. And underneath that, I put a piece of cheesecloth, something that will allow it to breathe. And then here's a little rubber band here. There it is, that I use to just kind of hold it all together so that way fruit flies and stuff don't get in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pan over so you can kind of get a close-up. Do you see all those bubbles? See what's going on in there? This is a very active vinegar process going on here all the way to the bottom. But I'm just going to stick my wood spoon in here and I'm going to push it down, and you'll probably hear a little bit of the fizzing as I do this. See all those bubbles? I do this about once a week. I push it down, move it around, get a little bit of activity going in there. There we go. You can see it being pushed all the way down through there, like that. You can see it all bubbling up around there. So what I did to begin with is I put distilled water in over top of the shavings. So what I did is I took cores and peels and stuff like that from the apples, and I threw them all in here, and then I poured distilled water over top of it, and then I put in 1 cup. Yes, that's what I used, 1 cup. I've done a half a cup in the past, but I found 1 cup seems to work better of sugar into this mix. Typically I don't like to use like the white cane sugar. I like to use raw sugar for consumption, but in this case, because all I'm trying to do is feed the bacteria, the yeast that are already in the apples, it doesn't matter what kind of sugar I use, because that process of fermentation is going to digest the sugar. I'm not digesting the sugar, it's utilizing the sugar for energy to create the apple cider vinegar. That's the way I like to do it. I've used raw sugar in the past to do it. I've used honey, and quite honestly, as long as the process goes smoothly, I don't think personally that it really matters what kind of sugar that you use. Sugar is sugar is sugar as far as the bacteria is concerned when it comes to this process. So now what I'm going to do is, now that I've stirred it up, I'm going to put the cloth back over top of it, like so. Get it in place. Not easy to do with one hand. Put my filter back over top of it with my date and everything on it, and then I'm going to put my rubber band around there and put it back in my pantry where it's cool and dark. And I'm going to let it sit. It's 10:22 was when I put it in there. I'm going to let it sit for about another week or 2. And then I will drain off all, I'll stir it in between one more time, and then I'll drain off all of the apple peel, and that will all go to the chickens. They seem to really love the fermented apple pieces. So I'll give that to the chickens, and the rest of this will go back into the container, and I will let it sit for about 3 or 4 more weeks in the pantry before putting it into my glass apple cider jugs. So that's the process that I use for making homemade apple cider vinegar. Any questions or comments, please leave them below. Like the video if you like the content that I put in here. And I will see you on the next one, guys. Bye.